Among the other things that I produced at the time was a dance show patterned after the Dick Clark thing on the network, where we did one locally, and we did it at the Fairground Studios. And I got a call from an agent one day who wanted to get some of his talent on. He had two to offer us. One was Little Jimmy Dickens, the country star, whom everybody still, I guess Little Jimmy is still working today. And the other guy was some guy named Elvis Presley. And I said, no, give me Little Jimmy. Nobody ever heard of that other guy. So I turned Elvis Presley down. Shows you why, which what kept me out of the big time.
We had this program called Top 10 Dance Party. And there were so many people that came in. Recording companies, Capitol, Decca, RCA, Sun, all of these would bring their talent through Indianapolis on the way to New York or on their way to Chicago, and had them on the program. And the one that you mentioned in particular, and there's so many that I do remember, Stan Kenton, who was a good friend, turned out to be a good friend after a few instances that happened. But Elvis Presley came to Indianapolis in, I'm tried to think of this before I came here tonight, either 1955 or 1956, and I think it was might have been 1956. In November, to sign his contract with RCA. Now, they had purchased all the rights from the previous recording company, and so RCA called and said, we have somebody in town, we'd like to bring him out tomorrow, if that'd be all right. I said, fine, who's that? And he said, Elvis Presley. Well, that name back in those days didn't mean a thing, you know. So they did, brought him in. We were at the fairgrounds. We were in Studio A, which is in the southeast corner of the fairgrounds. We had a sofa, and as the camera would look at the sofa, I sat on this end. I mean, it was just, it was not theatrically set up at all. I sat on this end of the sofa. Elvis sat in the middle, and Colonel Tom Parker is over here on this side. Elvis would not go, he would not move this way without Parker moving this. I mean, he did everything that Parker said to do, and he did nothing that Parker said not to do. And I'd ask him a question. I'd say, Elvis, most of us back here don't know anything about you. You know, how'd you get your start? Well, I was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, and my mommy bought me my first guitar when I was 9 years old, and I sang in the church choir, and you know, all this. RCA had brought a 45 recording of the latest pressing that they had for him. And they told me, they said, we'd like to have you play this. And I said, which side? And they said, it's marked. And I said, okay. So I looked at the record before we gave it to the engineers, and there's a mark over here on this side, a little X over on that side. So I gave it to him that way, and I wrote the name down. And played the record. Well, we had, back in those days, a crawl that rolled request names up underneath, and they would reverse the polarity on the camera and shoot that crawl, and it would change it to white letters, and here's everybody's name, you know, they've requested this song and all. So we had hoped to have a lot of requests for this song, and the name of the song was Mystery Train. And so anyway, RCA called me the next week and said, hey, how's the record going? How are the requests going? I said, it's terrible. We're not getting any requests at all. And they said, what do you mean? Now, you have to remember, he has now been on Ed Sullivan's show, okay? And I'm in television. I don't watch TV, all right? And they said, the record's dynamite. I said, the record's terrible. And they said, what do you mean? And it was. I mean, Mystery Train had nothing to it at all. And they said, what are you playing? And I said, I'm playing the side you marked. And they said, what are you playing? And I said, Mystery Train. They said, turn it over, turn it over. It was Heartbreak Hotel. Heartbreak Hotel on the other side. See, another great Marlowe faux pas, you know. We turned it over. Boy, I'll tell you, the requests just started booming in off that thing, so.